Greetings, Dan here. Hope this finds you all right, holding tight in these early January times. I'm not quite in goal setting mode yet, but I'm beginning to orientate myself towards the year ahead, and thought I would share news of an experience that we're offering out that you might be interested in. So if you've ever listened to my podcast, The Spaceship Earth, you will know that we talk a lot about this riff of becoming crew, this idea of stepping into service on this great big living spaceship called Earth, and beginning to participate in the co-creation of the emerging future. Becoming crew means to become, to evolve, to step into service, to serve life itself, to become an active participant in this great complex living planet, to be part of this life-giving intelligence, to become crew, to shift away from this passive passenger mode which has removed us from life itself in many ways. How do we step into service? How do we discover our own unique gifts and how and where to point them? Getting involved in the great healing, the great renewal, the great regeneration that's being called for. Anyway, late last year, we quietly launched becomingcrew.com. We call them unlearning adventures for navigating mysterious times. Unlearning experiences, ways for people to evolve themselves with the collective. So that's really important. That's the crew element. It's not about sort of being alone here, but experiences that can help us step more fully into the complexity of these times and the vulnerability of these times, and begin to evolve ourselves, begin to sort of unearth our deepest questions, our most alive questions, and to explore those through inquiry with others, and to support others also in their own inquiry. And of course, when we speak of crew, we also talk of our more than human family, not just our fellow human beings, but our more than human crew. And we're designing these for individuals, for groups of creative practitioners, and for teams in organisations and businesses. One of the first experiences we've launched with is called the Community Solo. It's a 5-week experience. It involves one evening a week and some practices in your daily lives. And then it culminates in a solo excursion out onto a landscape near where you live, which is building on an ancient tradition called a medicine walk, which is effectively going out onto the land to seek medicine, to seek insight to a big question or an intention that you are carrying right now, something that's very alive for you. And we build up to that. We build up to that event, and we build up to that moment, and then we all go out in our respective places, and then we come back and we return and we gather again online, and then we do some integration work the week after. So we just finished our first cohort just before the solstice, and it was a really powerful 5-week experience. We had a lovely collection of crew from Denmark, Germany, Holland and the UK. And myself, Mark and Eva, we guide and host, but we also participate. We explore our own questions and intentions. We develop the practices ourselves as well with the rest of the crew, and we go out onto the landscape on the weekend of the medicine walk, and we do our own medicine walk wherever we take it. And I wanted to share a little bit about my own experience, just because it kind of blew my mind how profound my own experience was, and how the insight that I gained from it was extraordinarily valuable to me at a moment in my life which has been very challenging. So the idea of taking a question out onto the landscape, taking an intention, we spend the first few weeks surfacing those as individuals and as a collective. Now for some it's very work oriented, or it's mission oriented, or it's some particular struggle or breakthrough that people are looking for, and that's very useful. For me, it was actually very personal. I've been experiencing a lot of health challenge in the family towards the back end of last year, and that also combined with often my overwhelm for climate and ecological breakdown means that I'm often finding myself in quite dark places, and I'm reminding myself constantly how to be able to move through that darkness, but also to carry light with that, to see light through the darkness. And actually the question that I ended up taking out on the medicine walk was this: how do I walk through fog and darkness and still remember to dance? How do I walk through fog and darkness and still remember to dance? I ended up going out at dusk towards darkness because of my question involving this kind of sense of darkness that was happening around me. How do I navigate through darkness? How do I remember to dance through darkness? And I ended up going out towards dusk, and I ended up walking in the dark, and I ended up going to a wood that I don't know very well, and I was drawn there particularly because I didn't know it very well, and I could feel my question. It was all about uncertainty and not knowing. So I ended up, rambling and falling and through this wood for a couple of hours in the dark, and right on the edge of my comfort zones and my own fears. And it had snowed that day, which was even more crazy. Anyway, I returned and we gathered as a crew for our reflection call and our sort of welcome back around our virtual fire. And it was a profound experience. And the next day, I witnessed my father dying. I was with him. He'd been ill for about 3 weeks. And what I recognised from the community solo, from the 5-week experience of being in community, working with a group who were exploring some big questions, in their own ways, and then having been out onto the landscape on the medicine walk the day before, I was really grounded for my dad leaving, for him dying. I was very present. So I'm not saying you need to come on this when you've got life-threatening things going on in your life, but what I am saying is I believe there's extraordinary regenerative potential in gathering in community with others, in opening ourselves up to some of our deepest, most alive questions right now, in being able to kind of share some vulnerability for these times, and then building some practice and commitment together to then go out onto a landscape near where you live. And I think that's really important. We had people from 4 different countries on that last cohort, so we were never together in one place, but actually we were a solid community. And by going out into the landscapes around in the places we call home, everyone really deepened in quite extraordinary ways their awareness and relationship with the landscapes around them. And medicine was received by everyone. People came back with a lot of insight and breakthrough for some. So we're running another one at the end of this month. There's a few more places left, I'll put all the links beneath this, but head over to becomingcrew.com, look for Community Solo, fill out a very short couple of questions, and then you can get a call in with Mark, Eva or myself just to run through what to expect. But it's departing at the end of Jan, so we'd love to see you. Come and get involved. Community Solos.